welcome to my March Mystery Short Story Madness wrap-up. This year for March Mystery Madness, I've decided to do a very different approach this time. I decided to read short stories from classical, vintage and golden age mystery and crime writers. And I did the bingo card that was created by March Mystery Madness creators. And I tried to find short story titles that would fit those prompts and then read them. Fortunately, two of the short story collection books that I'm going to talk about in this wrap-up were already in my March TBR. I additionally used one book and also listened to an audiobook of a short story. Although my reading order was different, I'm going to talk about the short stories that I read for March Mystery Madness according to books because it will be easier. I read 3 short stories for March Mystery Madness from this tome. I'm buddy reading this book, this short story collection with Janelle at Two Fandom Books, who's also the co-host of March Mystery Madness. And we are reading 2 short stories per week. In March, I could use 3 of the short stories for March Mystery Madness. The first short stories that I read from this book for March Mystery Madness was The Ghost of Fountain Lane by C.L. Perkins. I gave that short story a 7 out of 10. I really liked the writing style of the book. The detective in this book was a woman, which was great. And the mystery was started really well. But I was disappointed at the end because we were not given any clues to solve the mystery. So, although I really liked the detective, I have to admit I felt the same way that I did when I was reading Sherlock Holmes when I read this short story. Although I liked it, I much prefer to have all the clues and then maybe solve the mystery with the detective. Second short story that I read for March Mystery Madness was from Wilkie Collins, Who Killed Zebedee. I gave this short story an 8 out of 10. First of all, like The Woman in White, I loved the writing style. It was wonderful. I strongly advise Wilkie Collins to readers who are afraid of classical writing style, because his writing style is very easy to follow and it almost feels like a contemporary writer. And additionally, there is always a mystery to solve. Although the ending was a bit predictable towards the end, I loved the structure of the mystery, the general idea behind the plot. So it was an 8. The last short story that I read from this collection for March Mystery Madness was The Purple Death by William Lequeux. I like Wilkie Collins. I enjoyed the writing style very much. The mystery was complex enough, but ending was disappointing for me. Still a very good mystery, and I plan to try more from this author as well. And the second book that I've used for March Mystery Madness was my Agatha Christie book of the month. And I've also read 3 short stories for March Mystery Madness from this collection. Partners in Crime was the first short story collection in Tommy and Tuppence detective series. I previously read 2 novels from this series, and the short story collection was very interesting actually, because all of the short stories had a wit. And they imitated the classical and their contemporary detectives while solving the crime. And actually, Tommy imitated Father Brown in the first short story, which was The Man in the Mist. I read this for the prompt of weather, of course. I gave The Man in the Mist a 7 out of 10. Mystery was okay, but because of this wonderful wit, the rating was above average for me. For the prompt of space, I read The House of Lurking Death from this collection. This was my second favorite short story that I read in March. I then gave it 8 out of 10. It was like a classical Agatha Christie mystery. A mansion, poison, suspicious characters, and all of them have a motive for killing the victim. It was also the best story in this short story collection for me. Lastly, for the prompt of number, I did a double bonus. The Man Who Was number 16, it was the last short story and the concluding short story, and I gave it 7 out of 10. The conclusion was really nice. First of all, the characters were at a very good place when the book ended. On the other hand, the mystery, I have to admit, was unexciting, but still lots of wit in that short story as well. Tommy this time imitated Hercule Poirot, another detective of Agatha Christie, which was a genius idea in my opinion. I will talk more about my general feelings about the short story collection in my March wrap-up part 2. I read 2 short stories from this Edgar Allan Poe collection. This is all of his works in Turkish. I've actually read 2 very, very short stories, so it was ideal for a readathon as well. For the prompt of single, I read Morella. I gave it 6 out of 10. It was very atmospheric. It was certainly a gothic mystery with a paranormal touch, but because it was very short, I didn't care about the character, so I gave an average of 6 out of 10. Second short story I read from this collection had a very interesting title, 3 Sundays in a Week. I gave this short story 7 out of 10. It was even shorter than Morella. The story idea was quite clever, but because it was so short, it all happened in a very short period of time, which did not raise any suspicion while reading this short story. But overall, for the 2 short stories that I read from this collection, the ideas were really good, especially considering his time. I can see he has been the pioneer of many contemporary mystery writers. My favorite short story was the short story that I listened for the prompt of bonus, a book with an interesting title. I chose The Mystery of Room 666 by Jacques Futrelle. You know, 666 is a special number, and that was the reason that interested me. I never thought that I would love this mystery so much. It was excellent. It was on point on many things. It was longer than all of the short stories that I read. So the character development was even better in that sense. And even though the author died in a Titanic accident in 1910s, the writing style was very clear. It was easy to follow. I will certainly read more from Jacques Furtelle's work. As I mentioned in my March wrap-up part 1, it was a shame that he died so young, because he could have written more mysteries like these. In summary, I gave my favorite short story in March a 9 out of 10. I'm so glad that I chose this for the bonus prompt. My reason for choosing classical and vintage authors was to discover mystery authors, and I've certainly discovered Jacques Futrelle in March. So this was my March Mystery Madness wrap-up. Please comment down below, have you participated in March Mystery Madness? If you're a new viewer, first of all, welcome. Please like and subscribe. Hope to see you very soon. Bye! As for Turkish word of the day, since my favorite short story was The Mystery of Room 666, I thought room should be the word of the day. Room means oda in Turkish, and oda is our Turkish word of the day. Have a good day.